In this video, we visit the archaeological zones of Dainzú and Mitla. We also visit one of only 2 petrified waterfalls in the world. And finally, we go on an epic mezcal tasting in the world capital of Mezcal.
We are Georgia and David. We quit our jobs to travel full-time around Mexico with our 14-year-old Sheltie-Poo Meep. Our goal is to take a picture with her in front of 100 Pueblo signs. Today we drove about 30 minutes to the archaeological zone of Dainzú.
This is my favorite type of archaeological zone because we are the only car in the parking lot. So it looks like we have this place to ourselves. It is obviously not as popular as Monte Alban, nor is it as big. But sometimes I appreciate these smaller ones more since we do have it to ourselves.
And we also have Meep with us.
Yep. So I actually found a little sign at the front here, and this was also a Zapotec site.
Yep, and you can also go down in some of the tombs here. Just be careful because the stairs are a little bit steep.
This site was definitely interesting. I think we spent about 25 minutes or so checking it out. The ball court was also super impressive. So the bottom layer is a bunch of tombs and then kind of like windy pathways, and then the ball court, and then you come up to a kind of pyramid-like structure. I'm guessing that this goes further behind us, like La Quemada, because the mountain itself keeps going, and every ruin site we've been to is always built on the high ground. So I'm guessing they just haven't excavated far enough yet, but it is definitely worth a visit. The whole time we've been here, we've been the only ones.
So on top of the main pyramid, there's some steep steps that go down into this little hole. I think it might be another one of those tombs, but it kind of looked like a chimney to me down there.
So we continued on another 30 minutes from the archaeological zone of Dainzú, and now we are in the Pueblo Mágico of Mitla.
Mitla is known for their textiles, and they also have their own archaeological site.
We're gonna go ahead and take our family photo by the letters and then find something to eat.
The town of Mitla is quite small. The square has the town letters and the kiosco, as well as many clothing and textile shops. The items in each shop appear to be quite unique, and if this is your thing, you could spend hours here. And like most towns in Mexico, the main church is not in the main square. We just finished up lunch at La Ofrenda.
It was really good. It's a small family-run restaurant, and we started with the beef quesadillas, and then we each got the tasajo, which is basically like a thin beef steak that came with guacamole and beans and salad. We really enjoyed it, and now that we're fueled up, we are headed off to see the ruins as well as the church.
So we have some bad news.
Apparently, on Sundays, they allow the final entry into these archaeological ruins at 1:45, and it is well past 2 now. So, as you can see, the gate behind us is closed. We can still see a good chunk of the ruins from the gate, and we were still able to check out the church. So it's still worth it, but definitely if you're planning on coming on a Sunday, come a little earlier and eat afterwards.
How are you liking your mezcal tasting?
Excellent. This one I have never tried before. It's cerudo. It tastes like a mix of almost like raisins and caramel. It is one of the better ones we have had thus far.
Finish up our tasting at Rey de Matatlan.
It was great. They have a huge variety here, and they have a lot of Silvestre or wild maguey type mezcals, and we did find a couple things that we like. She probably let us try 8 or 10 different things.
Well, Georgia tried more than I did, so I have to drive.
We have to be responsible. But I definitely recommend stopping by here. It's right off the highway, so it's super convenient.
This morning we got up really early and we drove about an hour and 20 minutes to Hierve el Agua.
This is one of only 2 petrified waterfalls like it in the world. The other one is actually in Turkey. We did have to pay 2 entrance fees. First, as you drive through town, there is a little kind of like roadblock, and you have to pay 20 pesos per person to drive through the community to actually get to Hierve el Agua. And then once you get here, the actual entrance fee is 50 pesos per person. So we are getting ready to go check it out. I'm quite excited.
We got here so early that nothing's yet open.
And the reason that we got here so early is because today the high is 92, but right now it is a very comfortable 66. So here the air is very dry and the sun is very strong, so the temperature rises pretty quickly. So we're hoping to get this hike done. I read online that the hike is about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half to complete.
Hierve el Agua means boiling water in Spanish, and I think you can see why it's been given this name.
So once you come down the little paved path, there are changing rooms and there's actually a pool that you can get into. The one behind us has a little waterfall and you can't get into it. The important thing is not to wear any sunscreen or makeup or anything if you are going to enter the pools because they have been contaminated before and the water turned kind of a nasty brown. Right now it's a really beautiful green color.
We started the hike to the right behind the pools. At the beginning, you climb up some stone stairs to get a better view of the pools from above. After a few viewpoints, you begin the descent down and around the falls. At this point, things start to get a bit steep and slippery. So we heard that hike takes about an hour and a half. It took us a little under an hour, I think.
Yeah, it was actually not that bad. It definitely was not the easiest hike we've ever done, but it was not the most difficult either. Everyone says to do it counterclockwise, and I totally agree because it kind of starts out with stairs. And if you're not in the best shape or you don't feel like doing a big hike, you can just go down the stairs until you see this kind of dripping waterfall. And then you could turn around and just go right back up, and you'd get probably 70–80% of the like pretty pictures and pretty views of the hike with about 20% of the work. But it's worth it to do the whole thing. It really wasn't that bad. And while it might have only been about 10:45 in the morning, we did go ahead and get some alcoholic beverages. David got a caguama-sized michelada with salt and lime, and it was only 100 pesos. And I got a little jarrito, which they freshly squeezed orange and lime juice and put some mezcal in. And I got to keep the little jar, which is super cute, and that was only 140 pesos.
El desayuno de campeones.
Yeah, today it was definitely the breakfast of champions. We are going to head to Mitla. We tried to go there the other day with Meep, and unfortunately the ruins were closed. So now, since it is still nice and early, it's just about 11, we're going to head over that way. So that was a very pretty but very windy drive. You had to turn on the four-wheel drive for a little bit there. So the Jeep got to do Jeep things. But we are back at Mitla. Apparently right now they have like capacity limitations. So we are standing at the gate waiting for them to open it. And there's some ladies selling some handmade woven items. So we got little bags for our sunglasses. And they were only 10 pesos each.
The archaeological zone of Mitla is most well known for its intricate carvings. Many people say they look like they are Greco-Roman style. We even saw some Greek restaurants in town alluding to this fact. It was built by the Zapotecs as a burial site, possibly as early as 900 BC. The Mixtecs took control of it in 1080. After exploring the ruins at Mitla, we decided to stop and get some ice cream.
I got the traditional flavor, which is leche quemada and tuna. Leche quemada is burnt milk, and it tasted kind of like peanut butter. And then tuna is prickly pear, which kind of tasted like grape jelly. So it was like I had peanut butter and jelly ice cream.
And I got tres leches and mango.
So after that, we drove about another 15–20 minutes to the town of Matatlan, I believe. And they are the world capital of Mezcal production. So we have stopped somewhere to get some food in our bellies before we head into doing some Mezcal tastings, but it does look like they have an impressive selection available for tasting here.
And unfortunately, I'm driving, so I can't taste too much.
No, I'll pre-screen them for you. I'm willing to do that for you. It's a sacrifice I'll make.
Appreciate it.
We ordered the Oaxaca platter for 400 pesos, and it comes with these memelitas as well as guacamole and cecina and queso and quesadillas and chicharron and chorizo, quesillo, and tasajo. And then, of course, we have salsas. And then here we have some handmade tortillas. The mezcal from this tiny distillery ended up being our hands-down favorite. We visited more than 7 distilleries during our stay, as well as sampling and purchasing mezcals in a few different stores. None of them could hold a candle to the mezcal distilled with chocolate and the mezcal distilled with pechuga or turkey breast that we purchased here.
Well, at the restaurant we had lunch at, we did try a few mezcals, and we ended up buying this bottle of reposado, which is a slightly aged espadín. After that, we stopped again, and we ended up buying these two bottles. This one is a pechuga, and then this one is actually distilled with chocolate. We stopped at a third location, which was Casa de los Mezcales, and we purchased the coyote as well as a reposado there as well. And finally, just as we were pulling out of town, we stopped and we bought this citrus mezcal, which was a blend of 4 different wild agaves.
We're back out in Matatlan at Mal de Amor.
We brought Meep with us today. This is one of the larger distilleries. They actually have a restaurant, they do a tour, and then they obviously do tastings. So we're excited to go do some tastings, but first we're gonna get some food in our bellies.
How many have you tried so far?
A couple. I don't know, I might like the reposado better than any.
Yeah. That's how many she's tried. After tasting virtually every mezcal they offer, we started our short but informational tour.
When you take the sensor and count it, it's a traditional oven. It's the same oven we made the barbecue in Mexico, but this one have a really big family size. You eat it like a sugar cane.
It's like a raisiny, caramely taste.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a very unique,
yeah.
I mean, it is, I guess, the taste of caramelized maguey. Like, there's nothing that tastes like it.
Yep. Yep.
Kentucky and the whiskey barrels. And, you know, with whiskey, obviously, it's the corn, but you get the same little bubbles around the edge and everything.
Yeah. Only hot water. No chemics, no yeast.
No yeast.
No yeast. Well, actually, the hot water started ferment the sugar. It's like if, for example, when you have 1 glass of water or pineapple and you forget in the sun, the hot or the climb start ferment the sugar.
Ancestral, it is like a distillation in Barrow.
Yeah.
And if it is artisanal, it's in Cobre.
Copper. And the inside the pot go the fiber and the fudge.
How many times do you distill?
2 times.
2 times.
Everything here is done by hand, including bottling, corking, and labeling. Our final stop on the tour was the cellar, which smelled amazing, and we discovered an interesting link to Kentucky.
Do you buy used wine or used whiskey barrels or both?
Whiskey barrels, actually. The new ones come from this company, Calvin Cooperage.
Oh yeah, we actually visited Calvin
Okay.
Cooperage.
Yeah. As you would expect, the land in this area is absolutely covered in magueys. Some are espadine, which is cultivated in rows, but many are silvestre or wild varieties, which simply refuse to thrive using modern agricultural methods. These wild varieties are harvested by locals who venture far into the mountains in search of them. Everything at Mal de Amor was excellent. The tasting, the food, and also the tour.
Yeah, we enjoyed the whole thing there. And after we asked our tour guide what other distilleries we should check out, and he said Gracias al Dios, which we tried to stop by, but they were actually having a wedding there. And the other was El Rey Zapoteco, which we did a full tasting there and bought a bottle, but I don't think it was quite as good as Mal de Amor.
All right, so now we're at Árbol de Tule, which is the largest tree in the world by trunk width.
It is absolutely massive. I think they said that it took 42 people touching fingertip to fingertip to get all the way around the trunk.
After walking around this gigantic tree more than once, we went on to admire their meticulously manicured gardens and snap a family photo.
Thanks for watching. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, please leave them down below. And if you haven't already, check out our Oaxaca Art Towns video here.